Okay, let's get right into this. If you were looking to rent a car in Maui for Thanksgiving of 2025, you probably saw something that looked less like a busy travel season and, well, more like a complete market meltdown.
It really was. And for our deep dive today, we're going to unpack exactly what happened. We've got the data from November 23rd, and our mission is to figure out why prices hit such catastrophic levels.
And why certain cars just seem to vanish from the face of the earth.
Exactly. The main shock, and this is the thing that kicked off the whole crisis, was the minivans. At Kahului Airport, OGG, they were just gone, completely sold out.
Wow.
And that supply shock immediately sent people scrambling for substitutes, like large SUVs and Jeeps. And their prices shot into territory we honestly haven't seen since the Christmas 2024 peak.
I have to stop on these numbers because they're just absurd. Looking at the week-over-week increase for that Thanksgiving week, Jeeps jumped 409%.
409, up to nearly $2,600 for the week.
And that's not even the big one. Standard SUVs. They went up an unbelievable 629%. We're talking over $3,000 for a week.
Right. And to put that in perspective for you, it's not just normal holiday pricing. I mean, economy cars were up about 98%, basically double their median price, which you kind of expect.
Sure, that's standard holiday creep.
But an SUV selling for over 6 times its normal yearly price, or a Jeep for nearly 5 times. That tells you the system, the algorithms, they sensed absolute desperation.
So here's where the data gets really strange for me, though. The convertibles.
Ah, the odd duck.
Right. While every other category was exploding, convertibles only ticked up about 1% week to week, just 28% above their median. So why did they just completely sit out all this chaos?
And that is the question that unlocks the whole mystery. It wasn't about a sudden massive surge in demand across the board. The volatility came from something else.
A regulatory trigger, I think you called it.
That's it, exactly. The whole thing hinges on a major safety recall from Chrysler that had taken a huge number of minivans off the road.
Okay, but recalls happen. Why did this one hit so hard right now?
Because for months, the rental companies had a kind of a hall pass. A temporary exemption was letting them use some of those recalled vans. But that exemption expired right before Thanksgiving.
Oh, no.
So overnight, the minivan supply just evaporated. And every family that had booked one or needed 7 seats, they all had to pivot to the next best thing.
Which was the big SUVs.
The big SUVs. That is the substitution effect in its most brutal form.
Okay, that makes perfect sense for the SUVs. But it brings us back to the convertibles. Why were their prices so stable?
They had a totally different problem. Not a recall, but just logistics. You had hundreds of brand new convertibles sitting on the island, but they were stuck waiting for plates for processing, what they call fleet integration.
So they weren't actually available to rent yet.
Not enough of them, no. And the advance reservations made back in October had already kind of set a price ceiling, so they couldn't just rocket up with everything else. They were stuck.
This really changes how we should think about booking then. For the longest time, we saw last-minute prices actually being cheaper.
Yeah, that trend is dead, at least for now. We saw prices at the airport climb steadily for 4 weeks straight. It proves that supply is incredibly tight.
But there was a refuge, right? A place you could find a deal.
There was. Off airport, if you were willing to take a short shuttle, the savings this Thanksgiving were just immense.
The numbers really bear that out. We're talking a 48% savings on an economy car, about $530 at OGG versus $275 just down the road.
And for the standard SUVs, the ones that were over $3,000 at the airport, you could find them for 58% less off airport. That's a huge amount of money.
So looking ahead, what does this tell us about Christmas?
Well, the forecast is not great. We'll see prices dip a little in early December, but that core problem, the minivan shortage, isn't going away. We're expecting the Christmas price shock to be even worse than last year.
So the biggest lesson from this whole Thanksgiving mess is pretty clear. The gap between airport and off-airport prices wasn't just a small savings. It was the single most critical factor. It could save you nearly half on even the cheapest car.
Absolutely. Which leads me to a final thought for you to chew on. Given that one regulatory decision about one type of vehicle created this massive ripple effect, what other, overlooked vehicle category could be the next unpredictable wild card to mess with travel costs in Hawaii?